everybody, welcome and welcome back to Ebitimi TV. In today's video, I'll be sharing with you my experience with culture shock when I arrived Australia. There's so many things that felt really strange to me, and this is some of the things that I would like to share in this video. So if this sounds like something you'll be interested in, please keep on watching. The very first thing I observed when I arrived Australia was the rate at which people smoked, especially women. It was so strange to me because coming from Nigeria, it's men who would normally smoke, and we even consider the men who smoked as bad people. Do you understand? So having to come to a place where it's like a norm for women to smoke. In fact, if you smoked as a woman in Nigeria, you're considered like the baddest among the bad girls. Do you understand? So yeah, to see people smoke openly, freely, young, old, and middle-aged, that was really strange to me. It was so strange to me to see that. Another thing that was a culture shock for me was the fact that you need to make appointment for every single thing. That was strange to me because you could just walk into, although in Nigeria lately you would see that, yeah, that culture is also becoming applicable, but majority of places you could still just walk in and do your business and you're out of there. But here, everything is done by appointment. Every single thing is done by appointment. So it's rare to see a place where you just walk into and get your business done. You would have called prior, you would have been given a time to come in, and then you need to stick to that time. Yeah, that's another thing that was like a culture shock for me when I came here. Another thing that was like a culture shock for me was the rate at which you're expected to do things by yourself. Yes. Every single thing you're responsible for. You know how in Nigeria you have your house help, you have your security man, you have your different handymen that you can call in to do stuff for you, even to fix your power switch or something. It's something you can just call a roadside technician to come and fix for you. No big deal. But in this place, you have to learn to do things by yourself or be willing to pay through your nose to get stuff done. If you don't want that, to reduce your costs, you need to learn to fix things by yourself. So that's another thing that was a rude shock to me. This particular culture shock was not applicable to me, but I've met someone, I've had a conversation with someone who had that as a culture shock. Now, it is assumed that everyone is computer literate. Yeah. So even when you go to the government services office, excuse me, to get something done, there are computers littered everywhere, and they expect that you hop on one of the computers and do your business. If you need any form of assistance, they can give you a hand here and there, but the bulk of the work is expected to be done by you. So it's so important that at least you will know your way around computers. If not, functioning here would really be challenging for you. A quick story. Someone came here to study for his master's program, and this person is a bit advanced in age. And you know how in Nigeria, if you're given assignments or whatever, you go to the business center and get them to type your work for you, and you just go to proofread and then print it out. Here, the case is completely different. So if you're studying here, you will have to type your assignments by yourself. You will do everything yourself, put it together, and then you submit it. So that also goes with the other thing that I said earlier, that you need to have at least basic computer knowledge to be able to find your way around with things here. To conclude the story I was trying to tell, the person the person had an assignment and was going about asking people where they have their business centers so that the person could go type it and pay for it. But unfortunately, they had to tell him, say, no, you have to do it yourself. In fact, they were looking at him weird, like they couldn't understand, they couldn't make sense of the fact that someone else would have to type your work for you. It was strange to them. So that's another thing that wasn't directly my experience, but yes, someone I know experienced it as well. Another thing that was a culture shock to me, this had to do with church. I realized how casually people dressed to church. It was so weird to me because for me, especially seeing as I'm into fashion, I love to dress up on Sunday to church. It's like my opportunity to dress up to church, you know. So coming here and seeing like, everyone is just laid back and people literally wear shorts and tongs, which we'll call slippers, to church. And you'll be like, you feel overdressed when you're so seriously dressed, and even the pastor is so casual. You begin to feel out of place. So that was another thing that was a culture shock to me. The dressing, how simple the people dress here. Another thing that was a culture shock. This wasn't directly my experience, but yeah, someone I know. You know how in Nigeria, when you're talking to an elderly person is speaking to you, it's like you looking at the person in the eyes or looking at the person in the face is you meaning that you're rude. It's the complete opposite here. If you look away when you speak to someone, it's like you're being rude. It means like you're telling the person, whatever the person is saying is not important to you. It's like you're not paying attention to what the person is saying. So it's so important to look people in the eyes, look at their face when you speak to them, not look away. Yeah, so that was someone's experience, and I was like, wow, it's so different. They had to explain. I think it had to do with a child and a teacher. The teacher was not happy that the child wasn't looking her in the face, and they had to call for the parent, and the parent had to explain that where we come from. For a child to look you in the face, it means the child is being rude. So the child not looking in your face is actually a sign of respect, which was very strange to them. So yeah, that was another culture shock. Another thing that was a culture shock to me is the value that is placed on animals. Yes, animals are protected here, and if you're coming from Nigeria or any other part of Africa, it will be strange to you to see that animals are respected and they have rights as well. So that was another culture shock for me. Another culture shock experience was the rate at which they keep to time, especially the transport system. Wow, I was surprised and impressed at the same time. If your train is to leave at 11:34 p.m., best believe it's leaving at 11:34 p.m. So if you're not someone who is used to keeping to time, you'll find it really difficult to cope here because nobody's waiting for you. You just have to hurry up and meet up with the time that is scheduled. Another thing that was a culture shock for me was the price of things. So initially when I first got here, I would go to the shops and be calculating, doing my conversion when I see the prices of things. But I had to learn really quickly that that was so unnecessary. I was here, and then I needed to focus on being here and forget about the prices of things in Nigeria. So those were the things that I experienced coming to Australia as culture shock. If you're in Australia or in any other part of the world and you had to relocate for some reason and you've experienced culture shock, please let me know what your experience is, where I would like to read them and learn as well. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share, and comment. Subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Thank you very much for taking the time out to watch my video. See you later. Bye.